to my 5th birthday party. I remember. So if it's a memory string, what do you think has happened to her mom? Kinley? She died. And now she has a stepmom. How do you think she feels about her stepmom right now? She said she didn't like seeing her parent. It hurt her to see her dad and her stepmom happy. How do you think she's feeling about her stepmom right now, Jalen?
Sad.
A little sad,
A bit lonely.
a little bit lonely. Yeah. Xander?
Like, well, okay, come
Knox?
devastated.
Maybe a little devastated. I like that word. Amelia?
Maybe a little mad because she wants her actual dad and her actual mom to be happy.
Yeah, she wishes her real mom was still here with her dad instead of her stepmom. We call that maybe a little resentful. Hudson?
Jealous.
Maybe a little jealous.
Unfair.
Yeah.
Unfair that why is her dad happy with somebody else who's not like really his wife?
Well, it is his wife now, but
Like,
yeah, but not her mom. Yeah. All right. She stopped for breath and glanced up again at Jane. All this must hurt her a lot. For an instant, Laura felt mean and horrible, but only for an instant. She didn't hate Jane. Not really. It was just that Jane had gone and married Dad. She had to rush now because Dad was coming down the front steps. This khaki one was off Dad's uniform when he went to the war in the place called the Gulf. Mom cut it off his jacket when he came home, and she cried and cried because she was so happy he was safe. Dad stood in front of her, bare ankles, old torn tinnies. Laura, quickly, before he could stop her, Laura said, "This last one fastened to the neck of Mom's nightgown, the one she was wearing when she died. Dad saved it for me." She held up the memory string. It turned, the colors blurring through the blur in her eyes. Why are her eyes blurring? What do you think what's making her eyes blur? Tears. Whiskers leapt. "Watch it," Dad said anxiously, but he was too late. Whiskers' claws caught on the string, scattering buttons like sunflower seeds. Laura covered her hands with her eyes. "Oh no!" What happened to her memory string? Broke. Where is she sitting? Under the tree in the grass. Up on the porch, Jane dropped the paintbrush and rushed down the steps. "It's okay, sweetie," she said. "We'll find them." The three of them searched the grass. "I found one," Dad said. "Here's another," called Jane. Whiskers watched from the top of the sagging fence. Bad Whiskers! One by one, Laura put the buttons carefully in the box. "There were 43," she said. "I'm still missing 7." They found 6 more. Their knees were covered with dirt. Ants crawled all over their hands and arms. So how many is she still missing?
One.
One.
No, he just didn't want to be a part.
They sifted through the leaves and dead blossoms that had blown off the camellia bushes by the porch. "Do you know which one's missing?" Jane asked. "The one from Dad's uniform. It was Mom's favorite because tears streamed down Laura's face, and Jane took a step toward her. "Oh, Laura, my dear," it was what Mom would have said. What Mom would have done. Jane's voice was as soft as Mom's would have been. But this wasn't Mom. Mom had died 3 years ago. This was Jane. "Dad," Laura whispered, and her dad folded her against him. They searched again after supper until the light faded, while Whiskers lay on the porch, lazily swatting bugs. So, did they find it? No.
Not yet, but they are.
Maybe. So, Jane wanted to comfort her, but did she want Jane to do it? To hug her? No, she wanted her dad to do it.
she wanted her mom to get it for real.
When she went to bed, Laura couldn't sleep. We'll find the button in the morning, Dad had promised. And I'll help you restring them, Jane said. Thanks, but I know how to do it, Laura told her. She lay listening to the crickets, listening to Whiskers purring beside her. A little later, she heard the murmur of porch voices, and she got out of bed and knelt by the window. Jane and Dad sat in the swing. She could hear its soft creak. Bugs batted against the yellow light bulb. But there won't be any difference, Dad was saying. My old uniform is in one of those boxes we stored in the attic. I can cut a button off and drop it in the grass. She'll never know. So, what were they wanting to do?
Make her happy.
They're trying to make her happy, but they were going to not find the button she had. They were going to cut one off his uniform, another one off. She heard them. How can you think of such a thing? Jane asked. Those are true moments on that string. You can't cheat Laura like that. But, sweetheart, Laura imagined Dad taking off his baseball hat, rubbing his head the way he did when he was worried. My little girl's heart was breaking. I only want to make her feel better. Laura, would you rather have that button missing than a replacement? Jane asked. Laura would rather have that button missing than a replacement, Jane said. Then she added, it's like a mother. No substitute allowed.
So are they gonna cut a button off of it?
No, we'll have to see what happens.
Hopefully not, and they just end up finding the button.
We'll have to see what happens.
Nobody.
Laura heard the chokiness in Jane's voice. She felt choked up herself. What's it mean when you're choked up?
That means like.
Doesn't mean you're choking and crying. Choking and
Okay.
coughing.
It means like worried.
When you get choked up, it means you want to cry, but you try not to, and it feels like you have a lump right here, and you're trying not to cry. That means you get choked up. The swing squeaked as one of them stood up. Let's look some more. Right now, Jane said. Now? You can't see a thing. Flashlights, Jane said. Laura bit her lip. Should she go too? But then they'd know she'd heard. She watched the white circles of the flashlights, the dark figures of Jane and Dad crawling through the grass. She could smell the fresh paint. The crickets had stopped singing to listen. So what has Laura lost? She's lost a what?
Memory.
Lost a memory, that's right. And then she heard Jane's excited voice. I found it! Over here! It must have rolled! She held up something between her finger and thumb. Whoopee! Dad swung Jane around and around, and Jane laughed. Careful, we don't want to lose it again. She'll be so happy. You can give it to her at breakfast, Janie. I don't think so, Jane said. She won't like it that I'm the one who found it. Let's just leave it on the porch, like a gift from a good fairy. So I think Jane wants Laura to like her, but she knows it's hard because it's hard to replace your mom. Laura got slowly back into bed. Whiskers had moved into her warm place and she slid over him. "Grrr," he warned. She lay thinking. Jane's sad voice sang, it's like a mother, no substitute allowed. She remembered the soft look on Jane's face today, the way she had understood about the true moments on the string. So much to think about. So much.
I know she. I know why she talked about it. To her stepmom. I know. Can I tell you?
As soon as she awakened the next morning, Laura went downstairs. Jane was painting the back door robin's egg blue. Like it? She asked. Laura nodded. Already she could see the button on the porch. She picked it up and held it tight in her hand. A good fairy must have brought it, she said. She noticed the buttons on Jane's painting shirt were deep dark green. Pretty. Maybe one day she'd ask Jane for one to put on the memory string. She swallowed. Will you really help me restring them, Jane? Jane wiped her hands on a rag and stood up. Any time you want, she said. I'm here. So you think they're going to be friends in the end? Yes, I know. I was finishing. Sit quietly, please. Can I send it? I'll send it down later, okay? All right. Thank you. So, did she find her memory?
Yeah.
She found her memory. Who helped her find it?
Jane.
Jane, her stepmom. And at first she said, I can string them myself. But then she asked Jane, would you help me restring them? And Jane said, sure. So why do you think Laura asked Jane to help her restring them, Hannah?
Because she helped her find her memory.
And she realized that Jane understood, Knox.
I know why she was talking about the things with Jane. Because she wanted Jane. Because I know she wanted to get to the part to mom because she wanted Jane to know that she really wanted her to be like her mom.
She wanted her mom. She didn't want Jane. So I think she was trying to hurt Jane's feelings, maybe. Yeah, by saying, this was my mom's and you're not my mom. So I think maybe but you're right. That's what she wanted. Okay? All right. I love that book. I think that's a great book.
I don't really like the illustrations because
Oh, I love the illustrations. Why don't you like them? Why are we talking? Well, I think that's just how she looked. So I have a poem. It's called The Little Boy and the Old Man. And we're going to read through it a couple of times. And then we'll put it in our poetry notebook. All right, it says, the little boy and the old man. I need everybody crisscross applesauce, sitting still. He doesn't need those up there right now. They'll fall. Just leave everything where it's at. Need Knox to sit crisscross applesauce. Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the little old man, I do that too. The little boy whispered, I wet my pants. I did that too, laughed the little old man.
what?
Said the little boy, I often cry. The old man nodded, so do I. But worst of all, said the boy, it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me. And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the little old man. So sometimes, and it's true, if you've ever had grandparents that are really, really old, they almost act like a little kid sometimes.
Why?
Well, it's just because they're getting older and they can't do things the way they used to. Sometimes that's true. Yeah, their bodies are wearing out. Yes, that's true, and it's just
they can't control.
and they drop things. My grandpa had a disease where he shook really bad, and he would drop things. It's just sometimes getting older and our bodies kind of wear out. So it's kind of like the little boy. He was really young and the man was really old, but they had a lot of things in common.
Like sometimes.
Knox.
My great grandma, she has this really bad disease right now, and she's had a heart attack 11 times. And right now she has a disease where she doesn't know anybody. Like
Called
she doesn't
Alzheimer's.
know dad,
Yeah.
her dad.
Yeah, that's really sad. My dad had that. No, they go this way, Kristen.
She had a heart attack 11 times and she's still alive.
Pass those to Hayes.
Like the other.
If you're talking, put your hand over your mouth. Pass those to Brenna. Just a minute, Hannah. Pass those to Audie. All right, so we're going to be reading The Little Old Man. The Little Boy and the Old Man. Sorry, I read that wrong. Danny needs one. If there's an extra one, hand it to Danny. Hand it to Danny.
This doesn't even make sense.
It makes complete sense. Does everybody have one? Okay, crisscross applesauce. Okay, we're going to do Pete and repeat. Who's Pete?
You.
Who's repeat?
Us.
All right, you ready? The little boy and the old man.
The little boy and the old man.
Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon.
Sometimes I drop my spoon.
Said the little old man, I do that too.
Said the little old man, I do that too.
The little boy whispered, I wet my pants.
The little boy whispered, I wet my pants.
I do that too, laughed the little old man.
I do that too.
Said the little boy, I often cry.
Said the little old boy, I often cry.
You're supposed to have your poem in front of you following along. Most of you do, but some of us do not. The old man nodded. So do I.
The old man nodded, so do I.
But worst of all, said the boy,
But worst of all, said the boy,
it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me.
it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me.
And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand.
And he felt the warmth of the wrinkled old hand.
I know what you mean, said the little old man.
I know what you mean, said the little old man.
Okay, the little boy and the little old man. Now we're going to read it together. Together means we say the words together. You can't say it. Stop, Cooper. You can't say it and read it if you're not looking at the poem. We're not doing Pete and repeat. Your job is to follow along and read it.
What? It says nothing. I don't get why they said the little boy. Sometimes
There's a comma and then it tells you what he said. It put it before what he said this time. Yeah, well, I know, but that you can do it that way. All right, you ready? We're going to start with the title. 1, 2, 3. The little boy and the old man. Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the little old man, I do that too. The little boy whispered,
I wet my pants.
I do that too, laughed the little old man. Said the little boy, I often cry. The old man nodded, so do I. But worst of all, said the boy, it seems, grown-ups don't pay attention to me. He felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the little old man. Oh, we did pretty good. That's got a lot of words in it.
I did old man voice.
Okay, let's read it one more time. We're going to go a little bit faster.
Can we do older?
We'll see if I see everyone reading. All right, we're ready? The little boy and the old man. Brenna, you have to read. Wait a minute. Ready? We're going to start with a poem. Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the little old man, I do that too. The little boy whispered,
I wet my pants.
I do that too, laughed the little old man. Said the little boy, I often cry. The old man nodded, so do I. But worst of all, said the boy, it seems, grown-ups don't pay attention to me. And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the little old man. Get away from the door, and that won't happen. I need a boy and a girl. Weldon and Brenna. All right, Weldon in a nice loud voice.
The little boy and the old man. Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the little man, I do that too. The little boy whispered, I wet my pants. I do that too, laughed the little old man. Said the little boy, I often cry. The old man nodded, so do I. But worst of all, said the little boy, it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me. And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the little old man.
Good job. Very good. Give him a round of applause. Good job. All right, you can have a seat. All right, Brittany, you got to use a loud voice.
The little boy and the old man. Said the little boy, sometimes I drop my spoon. Said the little old man, I do that too. The little boy whispered, I wet my pants. I do that too, laughed the little old man. Said the little boy, I often cry. The old man nodded, so do I. But worst of all, said the boy, it seems grown-ups don't pay attention to me. And he felt the warmth of a wrinkled old hand. I know what you mean, said the little old man.
Good job, Brittany. Good reading. Good job. All right, so we're out of time. We need to get ready for our directed drawing. Hocus pocus. You're gonna go back to your seat in just a minute. You're gonna quickly get this glued in and get your pencil out ready for directed drawing. Glue that in your poetry notebook.
I want to see what we're doing. I want it to be a dog sign because I'm really good at